All right, it is HSP on the Give Us a Shot Network. Yeet! It is the WrestleMania preview show, WrestleMania 41. I am Jeff Martin alongside the trendsetter Brian Berga, and this is the greatest time of the year, WrestleMania season, and it happens this weekend. WrestleMania from Las Vegas, Allegiant Stadium, Sin City. And the trendsetter and I are going to break it down all for you. The road to WrestleMania is now. Trendsetter, you can follow us on all our social media platforms at High Spot Podcast. You can first like and subscribe to the Give Us a Shot Network here on YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscription bell, and make sure you also follow us everywhere. Listen to us on all podcast platforms, and so you don't miss anything HSP. You can watch us, but you can also listen to us on all the podcast platforms. Trendsetter, so excited to be here, man. It is that time of the year once again. It is WrestleMania 41, and we are breaking down Night 1 and Night 2 here for you. So buckle up, get your popcorn ready as we break down Saturday and Sunday. What's going on, Trendsetter?
What's going on, man? I can't believe this day is finally here. It seems like a year ago we were just doing this.
It was a year ago.
A year ago. So excited about this, man. This
is
what I live for. This is what I. Excuse me?
Can't hear you. Let's go. It's WrestleMania, baby.
I tried knowing most of the times here. I cannot wait. I couldn't hear it.
I got flustered. I'm flustered like Gunther did. Got flustered by Jey Uso.
Yeah, just admit you're scared, man. Honestly, it's okay. You can be scared if you want to, dude. This is literally the best time of the year. WWE right now, pro wrestling right now. This is the pinnacle of what you want to talk about. I can't believe we're talking about the story now. Now we're talking about something more in terms of what's going to happen in Las Vegas. I'm really excited for this, man. Night 1, Night 2. Can't believe it, too. I'm used to now, believe it or not, I'm so used to like an 8-hour, 9-hour show. Now Night 1, Night 2. Dude, can they fit any more people on this card? It's unbelievable. It's ridiculous, and a lot to go over right now and talk to with you.
I don't know about that, though. There's a lot of people missing from this card. You know, there's a lot of people that should be on this card, and they're not. I think that first of all, it's been like a few years now that we've had 2 nights now, so you should be used to this, Trendsetter.
Yeah, I should be used to it. I should be used to you and your corny jokes, but I'm not, you know? It is what it is.
All right, so I want to ask you, Trendsetter, who do you think is missing, though? Before we get to Night 1, who has been blatantly left out of WrestleMania this year?
That's a good question. I don't know. If I really look at it right now, and I mentioned this to you off camera when we were talking about this before the show, and we're discussing it. Listen, man, Kevin Owens, obviously the injury, but to me, Austin Theory is some guy I'm just looking at like, how can he not be on this card for some reason? I know he's in the tag team right now, but compared to last year and the year prior to that, you were thinking he was being set up for some nice singles run action, and it just hasn't been the case for him. I want to see Austin Theory in this scenario.
I think Chelsea Green is definitely missing. She is a MVP. I think that her winning that U.S. Championship really brought credibility right away to it. I think what she's done with that title, I think, yeah, you know what? Forget about what happened last week on SmackDown. She missed the 10 count. She had a little flub. She's allowed. And she should be on this card, though. I think that either she should be hosting WrestleMania, doing something with it, add more visibility to the United States Women's Championship. So I really think she's one of them. I know I'm going to get heat for this, but Nia Jax should be on this card too. Queen of the Ring obviously had a good run towards the tail end of the first half of the year, and she's not on this too. So I agree with Austin Theory. But again, stuck with Grayson Waller and they're in that comedy act too. It just seems a little bit unfair because this guy just a couple of years ago was fighting John Cena, right? And you thought that would elevate him, but it just really hasn't. So that's a great one too. And of course, Chad Gable. I mean, another year where Chad Gable gets robbed and he's not on the WrestleMania card. So there needs to be an investigation on that one. So what we're going to do is there's always news that comes out during WrestleMania, and it's leaked out, this past week. So we're going to involve some of the notes too as well, because there's a lot to get to here. So we're going to break down the card, but also going to talk about some headlines that have kind of been made so far heading into Mania. But let's start. It's been reported, and it's kind of been this all along ever since you knew what the main events were going to be. But now it looks like it's going to be Gunther and Jey Uso that are going to open up Night 1 at WrestleMania. I mean, this had to be the way to go, because if you're not going to close it, you're going to open it. Now, maybe you would have thought that a women's title match here would be a way to open up the show, but it's not. It's going to be the World Heavyweight Championship match between Gunther and Jey Uso. The build has been okay, but heading into it the last few weeks, it's intensified, right? It really did with the blood and involving Jimmy Uso and then Jey Uso's speech to Gunther. There was intense. And then on Raw, not so much because you got separate promos and you were like, okay, maybe there was something missing. Maybe the hype is kind of flat, but you're going to get this to open up. And just your levels of excitement heading into this matchup at WrestleMania, it's going to open up night one, reportedly.
Reportedly, and I think it should open up night one. I really do. Listen, when it first started off, when this was the possibility that people were talking about it, it was an exciting buildup. The mere fact that all people were complaining that Jay was, beaten by Gunther convincingly on Saturday night's main event. When this became possible, I think it had a great story arc behind it because here you go, the underdog against the dominant champion has been so much in terms of what he did with the Intercontinental title and now being a dominant world champion. Although there was a little issue there where he was lacking in confidence after he lost to Cody Rhodes in Saudi Arabia. But, Gunther has been a force in terms of legitimacy there. And, Jay, doubting himself. And even though he calls himself main event Jey Uso, I like the story going into it. The one thing I just didn't like the fact is that it took this long for it to get more personal. It just always seemed like the story arc was him doubting himself. Was he ready for this type of moment? Listen, we had the similar thing happen when he finally won his first championship in WWE when he won the IC title. I'm like, okay, he should be over this hump. He shouldn't really be doubting himself. I guess going for the world title is a different level in his mind, although there's some similarity in terms of being an underdog in this story. But listen, I think they did everything they could to make this more heated than it should have been. Listen, I'm still the one to think that promo that Jay did was a good promo, but I just feel that it was just it didn't do it for me. I wasn't these people that believed, oh my God, that was the promo that made Jey Uso. Okay, it was a good promo, and the fact that at the very end, that should have been the final end building up to the go home show. But them doing two separate promos, and then for some reason now you're having a scenario where Gunther goes out of character to a certain degree because he's always known as the level-headed, cool, confident guy. Now saying, you know what, I am under control. I'm not afraid of you. I mean, when does a world champion have to defend his own actions in terms of not what he did to Jimmy, but in terms of his own confidence going into this? So, listen, it could have been better. It was okay, like you said. I'm still looking forward to this because this could be a very pivotal moment for Jey Uso, for somebody who, started off when we had the COVID situation and did this whole story of the bloodline, how long it's been since then when Roman was so dominant and became the champion, and all the levels of the bloodline storyline has led to this moment of Jey Uso. I mean, if you were going to ask me several years ago, who was the star of this team, I would say, hey, I think they're going to lean more towards Jimmy. That wasn't the case. Jey took it. He got the ball. He ran with it. And I feel this is his reward. I can't say it's a world title is the award. And the main fact that he's gotten to this position is the victory in itself.
Yeah, but I agree with that. But to a lot of people's eyes, it's not going to be a full victory unless he wins that championship because he's taking a lot of heat for coming up short. And plus, I'm surprised at the Royal Rumble, there was all this kind of brushback of him winning that because a lot of people thought maybe Cena, CM Punk, or maybe you had your other options or your other choices. But it seems like Jey Uso, yes, the moment was there and everyone seemed to love it. But then after that, the naysayers that's when the critiquing of his wrestling started, which honestly, is he the best in the ring? No. But you know what? Give me charisma. Give me wanting to get behind this guy, this character. I'll take that over talent any day just because that's what sells. And he's a top merch seller. And Triple H made a great point today on an interview with Peter Rosenberg on WWE.com is, hey, listen, he's not Bret Hart in there. And he's not, but you know what? He sells stuff like Hogan. He sells merch. He's charismatic. So yes, Jey Uso to me deserves to be in this spot. I think it was just to me just really stupidness from people complaining about Jey Uso being put in the spot. But I get it because there's just CM Punks out there. There's Seth Rollins, and you want them to be in the world title picture. But you get a triple threat match as your main event, and why not Jey Uso? Because it's just hypocritical for you to be like, oh, Jey Uso's got to get a win here. Jey Uso's got to win on Saturday night's main event. Jey Uso's got to win here. He's got to be Gunther here. But when it comes to WrestleMania, when it comes to winning the Royal Rumble, then you have a problem. I really don't get it. Could this be, though, where this Jey Uso kind of gets overplayed? I don't think so because I think he's going to always have that appeal with the fans. The question is always been to me, Trendsetter, is what happens after. That's what's going to be important. Does he get booked with Gunther one more time, or what happens? There's a new challenger, or how long is his reign going to be? Do you think that in order for Jey Uso to have a significant run here with the title, it needs to be a lengthy title run?
No, I don't. Just because usually people, not all the time, that have first initial title runs, it's never a success. And usually, depending on the crowd, listen, in this case for Jay, if he does win, and we'll give our predictions in a few minutes here, it will be a feel good story. It'll be the scenario where again the story arc goes all the way to the point where he finally overcomes everything. He puts a doubt to the naysayers and wins the big one, as they say, and becomes world champion. I think in that sense, yeah, you want him to have a long title run because you're going to say, listen, the whole battle to get to this point wouldn't have been worth it if it's not a long title reign. I don't think it depends on that because here's the scenario. The first title reigns never seem to be very successful. Cody might be an exception to that because his first title reign now at this point has gone longer than you and I would have probably predicted, thinking that, they might have put some obstacles in front of him. For Jay, though, I don't think it needs to be a long run to be a success because at the same time, what they're going to be doing is stacking the odds against them. I don't think it's a one and done going through here. I mean, they had one in Saturday Night's main event. I think at the end of this conclusion, whatever happens, will continue with the storyline. But I think for him, yes, it would be great for a long title reign right now. I don't think it's necessary to get a point across because the crowd's behind him. You don't need to convince the audience when everyone goes like this. And, he's selling merch, like you said before, and he's one of the most popular superstars, not just on Raw, but in WWE. It's not necessary to have such a long title run, I feel,
Would you
because
take charisma over talent for you if you're booking? Would does the talent in the ring overtake the charisma factor, that it factor, that marketability, or do you think at the end of the day, hey, you just got to be marketable here? One or two, three moves has been proven to just get you far, as far as you want to go. Look at Cena, look at Hogan, look at guys that have been the big guys in the business. What is your take on charisma over talent?
listen, if you asked me this 5 years ago, I would have said everything depends on in skill, in ring ability, in ring psychology, how you can perform bell to bell. But you know what? I've kind of evolved because in reality, it's entertainment, right? I hate to admit that, but it's true because it's what you present in terms of people caring about you. If you could do a great move set and do all this high flying stuff, great. But at the end of the day, if nobody cares about you, I think I'm listening to Triple H a little too much now. It doesn't matter. It has to
He
mean
made some good
something.
points, though. I mean, we're going to talk about
He
some of the good
does.
points
He
that he's
does.
made here, and some not so much. Maybe I'm going to disagree with Nick Khan a little bit, but no, Triple H has
Listen,
been
it's an
enough.
audience connection though, and he has that.
Yeah.
And so for that, I think that overshadows anything he might lack in the ring. So ultimately, it is personality, it is charisma, because that's what sells tickets. That's what draws people to want to see you, and that's all that really matters. I butchered John Cena for years about, oh my God, how can they keep giving him this title? He can't wrestle. At the end of the day, honestly, that really doesn't matter anymore.
We talked prior before WrestleMania, a lengthy run or not. To me, it's about the moment, and the moment is going to be 60,000. Let's hope 60,000 people. The tickets did go down, so we might get 60,000 people in the building eating after Jey Uso becomes the world champion. And I think that's what they want to do. I think that's what they're setting up for. And I think my prediction, Jey Uso becomes the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Who would have thought 2 years ago, 3 years ago, or in 2020 that Jey Uso would be anywhere near a world championship? And here he is. He's on the cusp of it. And we'll see. I mean, it's a big pressure spot, though. So, but he will have his WrestleMania moment. You will see that image for years to come. Las Vegas, ing celebrating Jey Uso's championship reign. No, her win, his win.
Listen, I guess we're going to start off really agreeing here too. As much as I tried to give the benefit of the doubt, thinking there's a reason they can give Gunther this victory, I just feel the way they've presented it, the way they've been building it, especially in Las Vegas now in the crowd. You're opening up night one. You like to open up, getting the crowd hot, right? So I
Of
think
course.
that's what's going to end up happening. Jay is going to win. It's going to be an amazing moment. We can debate how long this title reign is going to last in terms of opponents going forward. It's all about this one night, Jeff, as we're
It's about
talking
the
about, right?
moment.
So
It's
we
about the
can't
moment.
think too far ahead. We can't think about Monday Night Raw. We can't think about Backlash or anything like that. So in this moment, I feel it's all built for this very moment for Jey Uso to become the World Heavyweight Champion. So it would be a really historic WrestleMania moment, as they call it. But man, that crowd would be so excited to see Jey win.
Got Naomi and Jade Cargill. So obviously, guys, if you didn't catch that, it's going to be we're all yeeting that Jey Uso is going to walk away. So that's our prediction for the first match of the World Heavyweight Championship on the line. Give us a like and subscribe here on the Give a Shot Network. Hit that notification bell so make sure you don't miss any single episode of HSP on Give Us a Shot. Again, hit that notification bell so you don't miss this episode because we're breaking down WrestleMania for you right now. Who's going to break it better? The Jersey Wrecking Crew. All right, we get to Naomi and Jade Cargill. This matchup here, two women, no titles on the line here. It's a grudge. It's something where a lot of people have been, hey, let's get women more involved in angles that don't involve the titles. Now there's a lot of titles now with the women, but this is a matchup where you may see progression now in women's wrestling, especially in WWE now, where the talent, to me, there's just a plethora of talent here, and you're trying to get them involved. And this one has some substance. This has a good backstory, and it's Naomi and Jade. Jade, from the match that we saw her, has improved. Naomi has been embracing this heel turn, and this is probably a tough one for me to predict who's going to win, just because they both kind of are building momentum. Jade trying to get her revenge back, coming back in a big moment. This is why they signed her for moments like this. And Naomi, who, since she came back, she's kind of been struggling a little bit, and then was put in the tag team titles with Bianca Belair, subbing in for Jade. And now she's the one behind the attack on Jade. So in order to stamp her as a true heel, she needs a win. Trendsetter, who needs this more and who you got?
I think Jade needs this more. I really do. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm picking her to win this one. But for Jade, in terms of having that long absence away, her now going into the singles competition, because she was protected originally when she came in with Bianca Belair and Naomi, and they were there as a trios group, and I think they did a really great job. So this storyline has built layers in terms of interest and seeing how Naomi's embraced her heel turn. But I think it's more important for Jade because she needs an opportunity like this. Because listen, she's won a WWE championship, a women's world championship here at WrestleMania. She's been on this stage before. I think it will help her out tremendously, regardless if she wins or loses in this one. So I think Jade needs it more to establish her character, establish the fact that she can be a single star, to get her revenge on Naomi for what happened in this long, lengthy storyline, which I thought honestly wasn't going anywhere. I thought originally Jade was being punished, or they just didn't see anything in her physically that she needed more in-ring work to be believable. But listen, we've talked about this time and time again, Jeff. She has that look. She looks like a star. She walks around like a star. She has that aura and that presence about her. So if I have to make a prediction here, as much as I think it would be, cool to see Naomi win this one and continue this storyline, which I still think will continue regardless after this match, I got Jade winning this one.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with you here because Jade is the money. She is the one. That's why she's been signed here for moments like this. This is why this match exists. Yes, Naomi's done a great job carrying her end, but listen, this is a spot for Jade. This is why she's here. This is why she's big time, according to WWE. And has she improved in the ring? Well, from what we've seen, yes. So this is huge too because, as I said, all eyes will be on her because this will be a litmus test to whether they can continue to proceed with her, because all that training that she's done in the Heart Dungeon, we're going to see if it pays off here. If it doesn't, now, we could see maybe a little bit of slippage there with Jade. She's got the physical 100%, but now can she put that in-ring together? I think she will. I think that Jade Cargill will come out victorious, and we agree on that 2 for 2. So you got Jade, I got Jade. And again,
for example, that we talked about before about Jade, that her charisma and aura
yeah.
overdoes anything in terms of in-ring ability for her.
See, here's the thing. I think it's more like that I guess charisma is presence too, and the mystique of her. But I mean, she hasn't cut. I mean, she's not going to sell you on a promo yet. She's not. But she has that look. So I mean, if the look is part of the charisma, I'm gonna say yes. She's what's gonna draw you to her. She's a superhero. She chills out of a superhero. She's like Storm from X-Men, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, she's got the look. So she's definitely, when you see a champion and when you see her walking around with that belt, I mean, that adds really, that adds credibility to your company. Like, okay, this woman is a megastar. She's got the megastar look. So if the look is part of the charisma, yeah, I'm going to say that she does have it. Promo-wise, not yet, but I mean, it is one of the factors that gives you charisma, is being able to have a presence. So she does have one. All right, the the WWE tag team titles are on the line. The War Raiders and the New Day. I don't know. I don't know if this one should I guess because it's a New Day, that's why it's on. But if I were to give this match, I would have had the Street Profits take on um, Motor City Machine Guns, and I would have had this one on. I mean, I guess because it's Raw, whatever. But I would much rather seen the Machine Guns and the Street Profits in this situation. But you get the War Raiders, and the New Day. I get why they're doing this. You know, it's the New Day. We talked about how their push as a heel team ever since they got rid of Biggie, it was working. They were getting booed out the building, but then it fizzled a little bit. And it kind of was going nowhere. They were taking on the LWO, and it just was like it was just getting stagnant. The War Raiders, kudos to the War Raiders. They've been through a lot. Winning the tag team titles, being the Judgment Day Forum, Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio, Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah.
And so, like, yeah, kudos to them because they've been through a lot. And you know what? They have it in them to have big matches. This is War Machine we're talking about, folks. Look it up. Tremendous tag team. But in WWE, it's been so. I would hate to think that the Warriors would lose, but I think they're going to lose. I think the New Day comes out victorious here and wins the tag team titles, and it continues their run. I'm curious to see how it goes. Whether they add a new member, or not Odyssey Jones, but if they add a new member, what happens to that? And I think that's more compelling than the Warriors retaining their tag team championships. So I think I'm going to have the New Day come out victorious and then become the new tag team champions.
Listen, this is the real struggle that they're dealing with right now, WWE, in terms of their tag team division. I'm agreeing in terms of the positioning. I'd rather have the Street Profits and the Motor City Machine Guns WrestleMania, and then have the New Day and the War Raiders on, let's say, SmackDown. And I'm sure a lot of people are like, well, that's a SmackDown. Who cares right now? The draft doesn't really matter. I know they're going to try to make it important once WrestleMania is done in terms of the draft again, but we know. Honestly, guys, we're smart enough to know the draft means absolutely nothing, especially during WrestleMania season. It seems like from Royal Rumble on to WrestleMania, rosters don't matter. You can go from show to show. Who cares, right? It doesn't.
Or make it the main event for the Raw after WrestleMania. You know what I mean? We have a big tag team title match there and then switch the titles there and single them out and make them the main thing that night. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be that they have to wrestle on SmackDown too. I mean, you could have this WrestleMania. The Raw after Mania is the most important Raw. It's the most shocking, right? It's the biggest one,
most watched. Yeah,
most watched. Why not have that be your main event? It really could be. If you add all the other stuff, this could definitely be a main event or one of the main events. To me, I would expand that WrestleMania feel. Like they do with SmackDown. They're pushing these matches before SmackDown as like the Profits and the Machine Guns, and then Chelsea Green and Zelina Vega. So they're pushing these matches to as part of the extension of WrestleMania. So why not have the same thing with the Raw after Mania to make it as important as these manias? But I got the New Day coming out victorious. So far, it's a lot of agreements here, but I mean, it's just common sense.
Yeah, I didn't initially say it, but I agree. I got the New Day winning this one. War Machine War Machine. War Raiders have done a good job. I'm still in the past right now. They've done a good job as tag team champions, but again, they have the Shieldish brand of the New Day, this version of them as champions, and then having teams like War Raiders. Sorry, I can't speak English today. Chase them is more meaningful as opposed to them being champions. So I got the New Day in this one.
All right. So Chad Gable is out, and El Grande Americano is in against Rey Mysterio. I would love for this to be a mask versus mask match so they could expose El Grande Americano here. But I kind of get the feeling that El Grande Americano is going to win. Because listen, Rey Mysterio is a legend. He's a Hall of Famer. He beat Dominic. He's a legend. This is more important for El Grande Americano if they're going to continue this. I honestly hope that it would stop here at WrestleMania. He gets a mask and loses, but it's not a mask versus mask. But it would have been set up for El Grande Americano from the Gulf of America, by the way, not Mexico, to lose. But if no mask is going to be on the line, I think unfortunately this is going to continue. As smart and as good as Gable is doing this, I want to see it end. I just want Chad Gable have a run, man. Just take off the mask. Let it be. Let it be from a real luchador to represent Lucha Libre Wrestling, right? And this is, hopefully it's not going to end at WrestleMania because El Grande Americano is going to be Rey Mysterio.
So I don't know what you're referring to with the correlation of Grande Americano and Chad Cable.
There's an investigation now. There's an investigation.
Yeah, there should be investigation, like you said before, in terms of the injustice there is that Chad Gable unfortunately cannot get a WrestleMania moment. As corny as that sounds, is just injustice for the fact of what he's done for the company. It should have been with Gunther for the IC title. In this scenario, they should have been something with him for the reason for a rookie to step in like this, for a Grande Americano to take a spot away from Chad Gable. I think is completely horrendous in terms of what the WWE is doing storyline wise and writing. But in terms of this, something we thought was so comedic, and we're kind of just shaking our heads at times, thinking that, come on, are we really doing this on TV? But hey, listen, the crowd's behind it. It is humorous. And like you said, Ray's been in this for how long in this business, right? This is a WrestleMania for him. It's just, just another WrestleMania to put in his belt right now. For a Grande Americano, it means so much more for him. And it's picked up momentum. I cannot deny the fact that this has picked up momentum in the storyline. And for him to win, I got a Grande Americano coming out victorious in this one. What an amazing WrestleMania moment. His first ever WrestleMania coming out victorious against a Hall of Famer in Rey Mysterio Jr.
Yeah, so far, we're agreeing here, and we're mowing him down here. We're mowing down night one here.
Let me ask you this, Jeff, real quick. Is this becoming predictable? Is this WrestleMania becoming predictable? Or do you think there's some surprises we might end up seeing down here?
Oh,
You don't
no.
have to name the surprises, but you think we're going to see some prizes during these shows?
Surprises or I'm sorry, surprises, you said?
Surprises, yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I think it better be, because I'm expecting surprises, because this hype for WrestleMania, it's not comparable to WrestleMania 40. I mean, to think that it could, it was naive. When you first saw The Rock, right? When you first saw Mania in Vegas, the hype of the city itself was getting you, all right, this is going to be a huge WrestleMania. But there are some matches here, don't get me wrong, Cena and Cody and then the triple threat, but it just seems that that build, that feel, that vibe, something's missing a little bit. Don't get me wrong, again, if it's WrestleMania, it's WrestleMania, right? But it just feels like it's not the same vibe. And I'm expecting there to be surprises, because since the build was okay, if you think about it, it's okay. I would think that there needs to be some kind of surprise. So I'm gonna say that both nights are gonna have their batch of surprises, and I think I think that's what's gonna happen. I really do. I really do. As far as predictability, yeah, these mid card matches are kind of predictable, but you look at the main events here, they're they're hard to take. I'm not hard to take. They're hard to, I would say, predict here. They're hard to like pick a winner, clear cut winner here, because you make a case for both, or the three men in the triple threat.
I agree, man. I just don't. Listen, last year's WrestleMania, again, I'm trying not to compare the two of them too, but just seems like the level of where the story could go. Just you can make a case for each one. This one, I think, till we get to the main event and we get to the women's championship match we're going to talk about next, it's in going away right now. And this is the exciting part about it, where it just any prediction here it makes sense, because it can go either way.
Well, I wanted to do LA Knight and Jacob Fatu, because that's one that I thought we might disagree on, but you brought up the women's championship matchup. So let's talk about the women's championship match, the WWE women's championship match between Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton, the champion. Obviously, let's be honest, that this has not been the build that people were expecting. It's been a shit show, and it's like an accident that you drive by, but you can't help watching because it's so gruesome. And the bodies are all over the road, and you just have to watch, because you like that morbid stuff, and that's what this has been ever since SmackDown last week. You had Charlotte Flair sneak attack Tiffany Stratton again, leave her laying on the commentary, underneath the commentary table. Wade Barrett had to get involved and keep Charlotte from pouncing once again on Tiffany Stratton. I don't know if that was kind of like to, as a punishment, or just to have Charlotte look on top, because Tiffany is going to win this one. But I'm going to take it to this extent. I'm going to defend Tiffany Stratton, because she was in the right the whole time. Charlotte Flair is the vet, and she needs to be more professional. She needed to keep the professionalism in this one. She's the vet, and Tiffany had been attacked, and Charlotte was taking advantage of that, taking advantage of the respect I believe that Tiffany has for Charlotte. Because I don't believe Tiffany is that person that is going to pull out those personal stuff because she's a bad person. I think she did because she had to defend herself. And for everyone coming out there and attacking her because she did do that, shame on you because you don't know professional wrestling. When has professional wrestling been uh, hold anything back? It's not the best stuff, and I'll tell you why. The best stuff is once it got personal, because whatever Charlotte said, I didn't want to see Charlotte just destroy and lambaste Tiffany Stratton all promo long. No, when Tiffany got personal and she mentioned that the marriages and on that's when I got interested. I'm not gonna lie. Once that happened, and then Charlotte, hey, maybe she was out of line about Kaiser in the DMs. When she said that, I got interested. So it works both ways. So to me, Tiffany Stratton made it interesting. She took a chance and she defended herself, and she was in the right. So I don't want to hear anybody else say that, oh, Tiffany's wrong. That's the only way she can get over is by mentioning her personal life, Charlotte's. No, she had to defend herself. She had to defend herself. She had to defend her character, because at the end of the day, if Charlotte wins, what happens to Tiffany? You don't know. But I think we both can agree that the babyface has killed Tiffany Stratton in this point, because she is not a babyface, at least at this point in time. That's why she should have started her run as a heel.
Man, to talk about a storyline that's just gone off the rails so badly that when you looked at it on paper, it was amazing to think Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair one-on-one. You're thinking, oh man, 5-star, 7-star, 8-star match, even though that doesn't really matter, right?
Don't mention that star. Don't mention that dude.
I haven't mentioned that dude. I just
Yeah.
mentioned the star rating, which means absolutely nothing, right? But you thought on paper, though, this was so intriguing. You thought, oh man, this has the ability of stealing the show. The buildup to it was unbelievably bad. Like you equated it to a car wreck, right? Or just a train wreck. It was just so bad I could barely watch, could barely listen to these segments. It's true. Charlotte was burying her. And then people will most likely say, but hey, listen, it's part of the business. You have to be able to defend yourself. But I felt that Charlotte was taking liberties at Tiffany. I have no problem with Tiffany said, though, because as many people will say, oh, that's crossing the line. I've heard people say that you're not talking about the character, you're talking about the person behind the character. Well, you and I discussed this before too, where it seems like Charlotte Flair doesn't really seem, to my opinion, to be Charlotte Flair. It seems like Ashley is trying to act like Charlotte Flair, and there seems to be a lack of interconnection between the character and the person playing the character. So, in this sense, if you're going to go that route, and I think Tiffany was justified in saying it, because listen, it's open game. Whether it's a collaboration between two individuals saying, listen, say whatever you want, or don't talk about this, don't talk about that. At the end of the day, you're a public figure. Whether you're the real person or the character, if you're publicly putting it out there and talking about it publicly, and then somebody can't use it, that's bullshit, in my opinion. No, it's open game. And if you can't handle it, though, because you're too sensitive about it, and again, I'm not saying Charlotte's too sensitive about it. She was obviously flustered and looked like she was really pissed off when it happened, which is why she threw the Kaiser DM comment out there. If
But
it
even that
wasn't
was
for
good.
this,
It got me interested.
and no, if it wasn't for this, we wouldn't be talking about it. We'd just be talking about how bad the buildup was, which it's still a bad buildup. But the mere fact that that happened and people were talking about, was Tiffany in the wrong? Is Charlotte in the wrong? Who's wrong? What's going to happen? Is Tiffany be punished? All this stuff. It doesn't matter. You know why? Because the difference is we're talking about it now. People are discussing it. They're talking about it on social media. And that's what you wanted. If there's anything to salvage this to a certain degree, we don't know what's going to happen in the ring, because it could be a train wreck in the ring. You never know if these two are going to cooperate in the ring. It worked. And it's the only thing that kind of saved it right now. So, but in terms of talking about who's going to win, I'll give you my prediction, Jeff. As much as I love Tiffany Stratton, I just think right now, the way it is and the hierarchy up there, I mean, we like to think under a new regime, it might be different, but Charlotte is so beloved amongst the people in the back in terms of like, she's just royalty, the woo Ric Flair connection, and just the mere fact that, she has been this veteran and has done so much for the women's division, and her, with her and the four horsewomen in terms of what they've done. I think she's going to become victorious. I think this is going to be somewhat of a punishment for Tiffany. And,
I see her. I have Austin Theory vibes when it comes to Tiffany in this. I really do. If she does not win this, or it's less than, if this is kind of looks like a squash kind of where Tiffany just doesn't shine here, I could see her just falling like Austin Theory, and that's sad to say because she has so much promise, and falling in the abyss of the Austin Theory is falling, which I love Austin Theory, right? But this has Austin Theory written all over it should she not win, because she will be absolutely buried. absolutely buried. And it's tough for me to pick Tiffany that way because to me, like you said, Charlotte is beloved. Charlotte is held in high esteem because she is the daughter of Ric Flair. You know what I mean? She carries herself, and forget about the personal stuff and just the physical stuff on Charlotte. She is a Flair, and that carries a lot of prestige when you're as talented and you're as gifted, and your lineage is the Nature Boy Ric Flair.
Yeah, and so that's why I got Tiffany unfortunately losing her title. Charlotte
Yeah,
becoming a how many would this be? Like 12, 13 for her, Charlotte?
it's close. It's close. I don't know what it would be. We should know that, but I don't know.
To the point too, this thing has been bad from the beginning because although the crowd was behind Tiffany and they were rooting for her to win because she had won Money in the Bank, and that they could have prolonged it further towards WrestleMania with her and Nia Jax, right? I just feel that this isn't a level of a character that Tiffany looks comfortable in. We've
Yeah,
talked about it before. There are those individuals, at least right now, early in her career, that just make better heels than they do baby faces. It's much harder to have people like you because I felt when Tiffany was a heel, she had this freedom to say whatever she wanted. Now as a baby, it feels scripted. Like
and
she
guess
has to
what?
say certain things. It doesn't sound natural at all. It doesn't sound genuine.
And guess what? That squeaky voice, when you're a heel, it works. For all the people that make fun of squeaky when she's a heel, it works
Yeah.
because it's annoying. And so, hence, she should have been a heel. I love Triple H. He's booked better than not. He hits a lot of home runs more than he does, grounds to double plays. But this has been a double play for me. This has been, and again, I wanted to be different. I wanted to say Tiffany Stratton, but I don't want to gamble it here. No pun intended. Being in Vegas, I don't want to gamble it on this one. I don't want to risk it on this one. So, but again, guys, watch out because if Tiffany Stratton loses, if it's anything less than even 50-50 and then Charlotte gets a victory and it looks like a Rhea in Charlotte, Tiffany, there's a chance Tiffany's going to be put in that Grayson Waller role and not Grayson Waller in the Austin. There's going to be man, that was gonna be such a nice cut there for you guys there. Give us a shot to put there, but it's gonna be in the Austin Theory category where I think that's where she'd go if she loses and loses bad. So again, agree on that one too. I did not want to risk my wild card on that one with Tiffany though. As much as I want to root for Tiffany here, I want her to win, but I don't think she's gonna do it. Let's go to the United States Championship. LA Knight and Jacob Fatu. Man, you believe Jacob Fatu is in this and Solo Sikoa is not on the card? He's gonna be by his side, but could you just believe starting off Jacob Fatu, who is put into the bloodline, following Solo Sikoa, and now Solo's out, Jacob's in? That's crazy to me. Um,
You asked me if I'm surprised. The answer is no. I'm not surprised at all. And
you,
this
oh,
isn't
you said he has shined.
this isn't a shot at Solo Sikoa. I think what Solo's done in terms of how much impact he had by not saying a word, being
Yeah,
part of the bloodline, and then taking over the reins there, no pun intended, right? When Roman left. I feel it was an opportunity for Solo. It wasn't a success to take over because when Jacob showed up, he just completely outshined everything. It
yeah,
really because it's hard to describe, right? You and I spend time and time talking about it when we're not doing the show about what's that star factor, that it quality that obviously you can't define, and there's a reason why you can't define it, right? Because it's just not easy to speak in words and have it make sense, right? But you notice it and you recognize it, and it's this feeling. And Jacob, listen, we've spoken to Jacob, we've interviewed him. He's a great guy, but when he's on TV and that red light goes on, Jeff, there's just something about him that just you're drawn to. You're like, oh my god, look
yeah,
at this
man.
guy, man. This guy's like everything you want in a superstar. And when he came in, I wasn't surprised. I was a little surprised to be at WrestleMania. I thought maybe in SummerSlam or once WrestleMania was over, because storylines are kind of connected and decisions are made prior to that. But that just showcases the talent of Jacob Fatu. That whatever storyline or idea might have been set up, he changed their perspective and forced them to put him at WrestleMania.
I thought we would have somehow seen Jacob and Solo fight, but I think this is setting up for that, and
Yeah.
that's why I think I'm gonna take LA Knight.
Oh my God, we're agreeing on everything here, man.
Because I
It's
think
crazy.
Solo Sikoa is going to interfere. I
Hmm.
think I think he's going to cost him, and that's a shame. But Jacob Fatu is going to be main eventing WrestleManias in a couple of years, so it's really not that much of a shame. But to get him on the card is going to be sweet. We love Jacob, great dude, and well deserved. But I think that LA Knight's going to retain, and I think that Sikoa is going to interfere. Him and Tama are going to cost him. It's going to be either plant the seed, or it's going to go, or it's going to just explode after that.
Listen, we've had cards before, Jeff, where you agree. I've never remembered a WrestleMania where we kind of agree on
Oh,
everything. I don't know if that has something to do with the fact that it's predictable or not to a certain degree, but for me, it just makes the most sense, like you said, right? Listen, I'll give LA Knight his flowers. It took him a long time to become a singles champion. He has it here. It would be a shame if he had lost the title, but when you have him against a guy like Jacob Fatu, you're thinking, how the hell is he going to take this one? I mean, the momentum Jacob's on right now, how could you stop it? But it does make sense because it really feels like within this whole storyline in terms of going for the U.S. title in LA Knight and Jacob Fatu, the underlining story is the fact that you have Solo there. This version, or this, this alternate version of what the bloodline was, seems to be imploding. And I think it's going to happen at WrestleMania. Or if not, it's going to happen at WrestleMania, it's going to show the sign that Solo, who now says he loves Jacob Fatu, as opposed when Jacob said he loved Solo, is not looking out for his best interest. There could be jealousy there, and kind of similar we talked about before, where Solo looks
yeah, there are the
high, Jacob comes in, steals his thunder, and
yeah.
now there could be some jealousy there. We're like, you know what, you took my spot away from me, so I'm taking these moments away from you. Maybe unintentionally, but I think it's building that story where we will eventually see Solo and Jacob one-on-one.
Most definitely. So we agree on that one. So now we have that, and it just seems like we're running the table and agree on a lot of stuff. We talked about Gunther and Jey Uso. We think that Jey Uso is going to come out victorious, and it'll open up night one. We believe that's the report. So that's what we're gonna. That's what we're gonna go with.
I hope it happens. I really do.
Yeah, and then we've got the whole Tiffany and Charlotte stuff we've discussed. So make sure you follow our predictions, and follow us on all our social media, High Spot Podcast, and make sure you give us a shot here on the Give a Shot Network on the YouTube channel, and you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Now you go on to the main event of night one, the triple threat. It's the Paul Heyman on a pole match, basically, and it
It
is
really is.
Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and Roman Reigns in the triple threat of all triple threats, the biggest triple threat of all time, according to Mr. H. And so here we go. I mean, this has probably been the best. Let's be honest, because Cody's been trying to support the whole Cena feud. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. John Cena's been there, but Cody's been the guy. All the guys have shown up for this one. And so it's been the best built one up. Paul Heyman is Paul Heyman. His acting is phenomenal. Roman Reigns had enough and knocked down Paul Heyman. And who was there to pick him up and defend him? CM Punk. And it was so great. It's so awesome when CM Punk is talking to Paul Heyman and they're and they're hanging out, and all of a sudden rolling through comes Roman Reigns. He gets out of the car and he looks at Paul Heyman, makes that face like, we're caught red-handed, and then he goes chasing after Roman, and Roman just had, and he's walking through, and he's like, this is the first time in a long time Roman's going to walk into WrestleMania alone. Right. So, and then Roman had enough and he knocks down Paul. CM Punk is there. And of course, the wild card, no pun intended, because we're in Mania, the Joker is Seth Rollins. You talk about who needs this more? All right. We talked about that before in previous matches. We talked about it with Jada and Naomi. Who needs this more? Before we get to the predictions, Trendsetter, who needs this match more?
I think it goes without question, man. It's got to be Seth Rollins. It means more to him than anything. And again, I'm not making a prediction here, but when you see a CM Punk, again, congratulations to him. I'll give him his flowers too. First main event for CM Punk. He's a WWE WrestleMania main eventer, right? Roman, he's used to this now, right? As much as it means a lot for Seth, what I find so interesting about this whole story, in terms of, like you said, Paul Heyman on a pole match with Roman, it really is interesting because now this is the first time in a while, because the tribal chief was so dominant for so long, being, champion under the guidance of the wise man, that you're seeing this vulnerability now of Roman, him doubting himself, him, questioning things, saying, why do I trust people? Why do I do this? Lesson learned. Is it really a lesson learned, Roman, from the mere fact that if it wasn't for the wise man, who knows if he would come out of Survivor Series War Games victorious? Who knows if we have gone the Ulafala back from Solo Sikoa. It just seems like all the odds were stacked against him until the wise man came back and made everything right again. And now you're turning in your wise man because he turned to CM Punk. So it's an interesting dynamic here. It's for the future, for the soul of the WWE. And I think CM Punk and Roman, as as important as a match is for him to get a victory, I think right now it's all Seth needs this. What do you think?
Well, I agree that Seth needs this the most. Why? Because he stood on this pedestal. He's trying to defend the WWE from CM Punk and Roman Reigns. So a desperate man is going to do desperate things. He's going to do whatever it takes. He has, besides winning at MSG, he has failed against CM Punk. He has, right? And you could say that without Roman's help, Seth Rollins doesn't get the victory over CM Punk, right? Seth Rollins has a lot to lose as well, because what's going to happen to him if he can't get this victory over here, and he can't support what he sees? He can't back up what he's saying about CM Punk and Roman Reigns destroying the business. He has really gotten personal with CM Punk, talking about how he took the billionaire kid's money and tried to destroy the company, and talk about Roman Reigns, how he's got his number and stuff like that. Like how Seth Rollins is talking a lot, and I think that at the end of the day, it's very important for him to back this up. To take the threat of CM Punk and Roman Reigns that he believes it is, he's gonna have to do desperate things. And I think desperate things means we finally get a heel turn for Seth Rollins. It's just been the build. It's just the way Seth has been talking, and it's the last few weeks with him and Paul Heyman. That I think at the end of the day, what makes the best and most shocking moment, and that's why I think this is going to be a shocking moment. I think Paul Heyman is going to run off with Seth Rollins,
Yeah.
because Seth Rollins spoke the truth. You talk about that last promo where Seth is talking in Paul's ear. He's made so much sense. He's made so much sense, and that's why with that promo, that's what convinced me that this is going to be Seth's match. It really is. This is going to be a chance for him to win this main event at WrestleMania, right? And he's got the most to lose. And I think that because of that, and because he has to back up what he said, he eventually has to back it up. And I think he does it here at WrestleMania. I'm going to go with Seth Rollins becoming the winner here and walking away with Paul Heyman on a pole.
How do I follow that one right there at the end of that sentence? But you're right. Seth Rollins has been talking a lot, but making so many valid points while he's talking. Talking about CM Punk to what you just said, taking his ball, going home with it, and spending a kid's billionaire's money and taking it away, and then coming back and wanting to reap the rewards of all the hard work that everyone, mainly Seth Rollins, has done in putting his company on his back, his broken back, right? And then you have Roman Reigns, who has, again, been one of the most dominant forces in WWE for such a lengthy title reign that he had, and just you see how WWE has evolved with him as champion, right? But Seth feeling resentment there because Roman is the equivalent of what Brock Lesnar was, where he's a part-time guy now. He's not there all the time, and Roman will defend it, saying he doesn't need to be there. But when you have a guy like Seth, who considers himself, and I'm sure a lot of people in the back and a lot of people that watch us too, consider Seth a workhorse, it's annoying because you're doing all the hard work, and then this guy's benefiting from it. So I feel when Seth makes these statements, it's not just something generic to try to cause commotion or try cause chatter amongst people, and like, oh wow, he's really upset. No, he is legitimately upset. He feels he's been overlooked, and when he sees two enemies in CM Punk and Roman Reigns, and the one thing that links these two both is a guy like Paul Heyman. Listen, he's been called the architect for a reason, right? And why wouldn't he use this to destroy your enemies? You look at the most vulnerable position, and their position is Paul Heyman. So one last thing too, WWE superstars have made the media rounds and have done a great job, and I've loved listening to the interviews. But one person asked Seth too, like, the whole scenario, would you ever sell your soul to The Rock? Would you sell your soul like John Cena did? And Seth answered it in a way you think he would answer it. Listen, if he can justify what he did, then he has no problem. He said he's done it before, and he has no problem. And if it's benefit for business.
Yeah, it's sacrificing his soul for the benefit of the company, and that's going to be with the hill he'll stand on.
And that's why Seth will come out victorious in this one.
And you got to think about this too. Not that it's a big factor, but it's another factor too. Not that anybody's owed anything. Go back to the promo where Roman Reigns cooks Seth Rollins, talking about how in his face, saying how actually, it wasn't. Sorry, I believe it wasn't in his face, but he basically said that he doesn't have to be there. Seth has to be. I think that was on a SmackDown once where
Yeah,
he said
he
that.
still makes more money doing
Yeah,
less dates than Seth does.
exactly, and it kind of was tough because I don't think he was there to defend himself. So I think he cooked him there, and then add to the fact that who was the MVP of that main event at WrestleMania? Who was the MVP?
Seth Rollins.
Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins fought the night before, had a meniscus issue, then fought twice. Well, I mean, two times in 2 days.
Yeah, he
Drew
closed out
Mag-
WrestleMania Night 1. He opened WrestleMania Night 2.
against Drew McIntyre, and he put Drew over for 5 minutes and 47 seconds, and then had to come back. I believe he had to dye his hair as well and put on the Shield wardrobe so he could come out and limp in there, maybe do more damage to his leg, take a chair shot from Roman Reigns, and then have to watch another guy take something that he wants to do, and that's his spot. So say what you want. Seth Rollins was the MVP of last year, of last WrestleMania, and then he shakes Cody's hand.
Says it's his time.
into
Yeah.
his time, and then also too backstage told was happy for Damian Priest too, and before that was had given Drew McIntyre that look like it's your time. So this is a guy who he's a true company guy, and I think it's not a big factor. But you got to look into that stuff too when you're trying to make your valid points here. So I think that's one of the reasons too. I think that all of this that has gone through will have him involved, and he'll be a Roman has been helped made by the wise man. CM Punk was helped made by the wise man. Seth Rollins will go to new heights starting at WrestleMania.
Listen, I think so too. And just to put a button on this, the mere fact that you said he's been a company guy, I've never been someone. I've never seen someone. More importantly, let me say it that way because I was saying it wrong. I've never seen someone like Seth do so much for the mere fact that he wants this company, he wants the business to succeed.
Oh,
And that's why when he makes the points like he did in the final promo on Raw, it makes a lot of sense. You see his frustration. I said before in the beginning when you asked me the question, who needs this more? I just think Seth does, even though he's accomplished so much. And honestly, when you look at this triple threat main event, Jeff, you have three bona fide Hall of Famers, future Hall of Famers in WWE in terms of what they've accomplished in their career and what they still continue to accomplish. I feel
Seth's got to. They've both those guys though have achieved that next step.
yeah.
Seth to me still has to. He still has to turn that corner. Surprisingly, right? Especially with the career he's had, but he still has to turn that. He out of any of them of the other two guys still has that next level to jump into. So I think that's why.
Yeah, no, in valid point there in terms of that next. I think he's still there, but I think because he lives in the era of Roman Reigns and now CM Punk coming in, it's like you're one of the best, but right now you have these individuals that are just in your way, and so you get overlooked. I haven't overlooked it. I have not looked past the fact that Seth, I think has reached that level. Maybe not more noticeably like Roman or CM Punk have, but I think obviously a victory at WrestleMania will definitely help that in terms of taking him to that next level that you were talking about. So yeah, I got Seth coming out victorious in this one, and well deserved because he needs his moment. He's been losing a couple WrestleManias every now and then here, and he hasn't really won one. So it'd be nice to pick up a victory in this one.
All right, so we've run down night one, and surprisingly, we've agreed on all.
Yeah.
So that is quite astounding for us to do that.